Amos the prophet lived during the time of King Uzziah in the 7th century before the birth of Jesus. He was a shepherd. He had an orchard of figs, and he sensed God calling him to speak a word of challenge and of change to the political and religious leaders of his time. And this is what he said. This is no way to make friends. I despise your festivals, and I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. Amos spoke about the tendency of the temple then and churches today to be more focused on what we do within than about the concerns and needs to bring healing and hope outside. And any of us who have spent any time in church know that sometimes we take detours, right? Sometimes we lose our way. I'm a cradle Baptist, been in the church my entire life, and I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I remember a church I served some years ago that spent so many hours focused on the right kind of carpet to get in the social hall. How expensive should the carpet be? What kind of weave should it have? What color? And we had a committee studying it. We had a discussion and debate at a church meeting. That's a great reminder of how churches lose their way, right? We focus on what isn't essential when what is calling us is on our very doorstep. Amos was calling us to avoid the detours and the distractions and to focus upon what God would have us be and do, to bring healing and to bring hope. I think of some of the opportunities and needs that are around us today. I think of Rosa, who is a student at a college where I am a trustee at Linfield College in Oregon. Rosa is a DACA student. She is undocumented. She was brought to this country when she was 3 months of age. Her parents are undocumented farm workers, tending crops in the Willamette Valley, doing work that others, locals, would not do. Rosa is now a senior. She has been able to study because she is one of the 800,000 dreamers who have benefited from an executive order by President Obama, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, that grants 2-year deferments, allowing young people like Rosa to serve in the military, to work, or to go to school. She is an honors student. She leads the Habitat for Humanity Club. She works 20 to 25 hours a week to pay for her education. And she will be graduating with honors, and she hopes to go to graduate school to become an engineer, and her professors think that she can really be exceptional. But Rosa's life is in limbo. In September 2017, President Trump rescinded Obama's executive order as of March 2018. Now Rosa and 800,000 others like her wait to see what Congress will do. We thought Congress would have a deal this week, and then the president weighed in with a controversial statement that I can't say in church. And now it is up in the air what will happen to these 800,000 students. For those of us in the temple, in the church, what would our faith have us say? What would our faith have us do? What would Amos say for a time such as this? Next weekend, I will be one of 3 delegates from Essex County Community Organizing, an interfaith group based here in Essex County, and we will be going out to Sacramento, California for a national conference on immigration and deportation, to look at the trends and to look at the opportunities to have a sane, fair, humane immigration policy. and I look forward to bringing back to you what I learned. But what would Amos say for a time such as this? Our call is clear, says Amos. The heart of God is for those who are forgotten, oppressed, bullied, and cast aside. He says this, but let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. This passage was a favorite of Martin Luther King Jr. This beautiful yet powerful imagery of justice washing over the face of the earth and offering hope to people like Rosa. Jesus was so moved by the wisdom of prophets like Amos that in time he was unable to separate himself from the needs of the people, to that Rosa's pain became Jesus' pain. Jesus said, whatever you do unto these, the least, the most vulnerable of my sisters and brothers, you do unto me. When you offer compassion to another, you are offering compassion to me. So complete was Jesus' identification with our human condition that the pain of another became his pain. The joy of another became his joy, and so it is to be for you and for me. Imagine a world where we totally identify with the needs and the hopes and the dreams of one another within these walls. The homeless neighbor outside on Cabot Street, and people like Rosa who have hopes and dreams. Imagine what our world can be like when filled with this vision. Imagine 26 units in Salem will be open, and it is called Boston Crossing. 26 units for people who are right now in Beverly and Salem living on our streets at night. We'll be in 26 apartments, beautifully designed. And there's Andrew DeFranza on the right, the director of Harper Lake Community Partners. There's Kim Driscoll, a really progressive mayor in Salem who has a heart for the homeless, and two of the contractors who are working on the job. Imagine 26 people having an apartment of their own, having a common room to socialize, having a live-in social worker to help them 24 hours a day to stay on track with their medication, to work on addiction issues, and to listen and to empathize. Imagine what happens when the Spirit of God is at work. Imagine 75 units of affordable housing have been approved unanimously here in Beverly to be built over the next few years, again by Harbor Lake Community Partners, a ministry of this church. Imagine the handout that you have. Shelter Fest on January 27th, an all-day festival of bands and contemporary musical artists. Sarah, would you wave your hand? Sarah's going to be one of those artists. She's going to be on at noon to raise funds and lift up awareness related to the lack of affordable housing here in the North Shore. We're going to be raising money, but we're also going to be raising consciousness, particularly with young people, younger generations here. It's the spirit of love at work. The spirit of love spoke to the heart of a young man named Martin King when he was 27 years old in Montgomery, newly appointed to his first pulpit. The Spirit led Dr. King to a leadership role in the Montgomery bus boycott to end enforced segregation on public buses in Montgomery. For 382 days, the black folk, very few had cars at that time, walked rather than took the bus because they were unwilling to accept enforced segregation on the bus, with black folks in the back, white folks in the front. For 382 days, people walked. People bore witness to the fact that we are all created in God's image. And after 382 days, the Supreme Court weighed in and said that segregation on buses was unconstitutional. But it was the spirit of love at work in Martin King and in Rosa Parks. It's amazing what happens when the spirit of love, as spoken of by Amos, as borne witness to by Jesus, as lived out by Dr. King, and as lived out by regular folks like you and me. It's amazing what happens when the spirit of love takes root in a human heart. It changes the world. It takes regular folk like you and me. Amen? Amen.